It's a Paris Chong show. It's a Paris Chong show. It's the Paris Chong show. Geoff Whitman. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Paris Chong show. I'm here today with somebody who I've known for a long time, but we didn't remember till much later after seeing each other again.
Right.
But my friend Geoff Whitman is here. He just came in from the Bay Area. He lives in Napa.
Yep.
He's a wine expert, and he is Pearl Jam's personal photographer. Welcome, Geoff.
Thank you, Paris.
I'm so glad
Nice
you're
to see
here.
you. Yeah.
This is better than lunch, right?
It is better than lunch. Yeah. Well,
I was like, I can't flake. I have to just work him into the schedule. But it's cool because you're doing so much right now. So
yeah.
now you work with Pearl Jam now. How did that come about?
I mean, I've known that camp and a lot of people in that camp for
Mhm.
a number of years. I've been a Pearl Jam super fan, as it were, from
Mhm.
day one. So it wasn't hard to want to be a guy photographing them.
Right.
I was a photographer first. College, even as a little kid, was a photographer, and always loved live music, and kind of got bit by that bug early,
Yeah.
and just had that great luck to be 20 years old when 10 came out, and when Nevermind came out, and all these things. And I was there to see it. I was in college, and I was able to go to these shows and see it happen. It was kind of like, to me, really like the last real sort of movement,
Yeah.
in rock. And it just got a hold of me. I mean, but both things really at the same
Yeah.
time: photography, live music.
So when
this
did you
life.
start
So,
working, just traveling around with them?
so I've shot several shows of theirs over the last, I would say, probably 3 or 4 tours. But now, being the full-time guy, the tour photographer, that just started really officially with this 24 Dark Matter is the name of the
Wow.
album, the Dark Matter tour. So we had, I think, 35 shows in, between the US, Europe, Australia, New Zealand.
Wow. You're
And
going all over the place.
yeah, now we're going back out.
When do you leave?
April 20 something.
Mm-hmm.
We head to Hollywood, Florida, and then we're kind of doing the southern route, and then
The
stop at
rowdy route.
Jazz Fest and Pittsburgh. So
Oh,
we'll be in
wow.
Pittsburgh too.
And how long will you be gone?
The legs are about 3 weeks, I guess.
So that's not
So
bad.
it's not bad. It's very
That's
like
kind of
it's
doable, right? 3
yeah.
weeks? Yeah, that's a good amount of time to be away from your wife without her wanting to kill you, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, she's the greatest supporter of
Yeah.
all time. My wife, Jamina, she, when I had a call with Seattle and they said, hey,
Mhm.
do you want to just do this? Do you want to kind of do it for real? The contract and all these things, and, do for real, not just 1-2 shows here and there. I went and I told her that, and I said, look, it's going to be like 30 shows, and that's just this year. It might go into 2025.
Mhm.
And she said, if you're asking me if you can do it, stop. She
Oh.
said, but if you're asking me if you should do it, I'm going to slap you, because you have to. She's like, these guys are your favorite band.
Yeah.
You love them. You know every word to every song, and you try to play their music. It's a
Yeah.
super fan situation. And for me to be into a situation where they asked me if I wanted to,
Yeah.
it's like I can't even, every podcast I've been on, every time someone asks me, I'm pinching myself still, because I can't believe it. I'm just a dude.
So Jamina sounds cool, and how long
She
have you been
is.
married?
We've been married for this is 18. It would be 19
Oh,
years. Yeah.
that's good. You know what? I was just mentioning to Danny earlier that I just went to the Phil Caruso invited me to go to the SOC Awards, which is the Society of Camera
Right.
Operators.
Right.
And every guy that got up and thanked whoever they were thanking, well, mainly said, thank you to my beautiful wife. We've been together for 40 years, for 36 years, for 42 years, for 27 years. And they all were saying, thank you for putting up with me having to go away on a movie for 6 months. And I'm like, aha, that's the secret to these long marriages,
Oh, yeah.
that they're still so in love with their wives, is that there
Oh.
is a little bit of distance in between the marriage. I
100%.
think that maybe helps It made me think that because I'm like, God, every single guy's got up here and said how much he and woman, a couple of women, not as many men, of course, but
Right.
they all thank their spouses for being so supportive and letting them go off for several
Um,
months at a time to work. And I was like, that's probably the trick then. You just don't, because once you've been with someone for so many years, it's good to take little breaks. I think it makes things
yeah.
more interesting. So I like Jamina. I haven't met her
Yeah.
yet,
Yeah. You
but
have to
like,
meet
what
her.
Jamina?
Yeah.
What kind of name is that? That sounds
Um,
Latin.
she's white girl born and raised in Hawaii,
Oh,
but she had a name prior to that was then changed when she was 5 years old to Jamina.
oh, interesting.
And yeah, her name before that was Kemptha. So
Kemptha.
I think Jamina has a better ring
Yeah, I
to it.
like Jamina. Who
Yeah,
changed her name at 5?
her mom,
Her
her
mom, and
mom,
what's her name?
her mom's name is Barbara. So
Barbara's like, I'm
yeah,
just gonna change Kemptha's name to Jamina.
yeah,
Is
yeah.
Barbara a nut?
Uh, I'm,
That's a loaded question.
is this thing
No,
on?
that's a
Yeah.
wait.
What?
Shh.
Yeah.
Sounds
No,
like a kook.
only in the way that, mothers-in-law can
Yeah.
be,
Oh, their
no,
mothers-in-laws are
yeah,
horrible. My
yeah,
God.
she's
Ugh.
great. To a whole backstory there,
Yeah.
but yeah,
I think that's kind of confusing for a child to change their name when they're 5.
I think so too.
Wow. I
Um,
wonder what my son would have done if I changed his name when he was 5 and just started calling him Walter. Like,
right,
Leo, I named you Leo, but now I'm just going to change it to this.
because I feel like it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just started, I don't know. I just decided I don't like that name. But you know what?
yeah,
That's another story. So your wife sounds very cool. And you guys live up in Napa.
we do. Yeah.
And how long have you been in the Bay Area?
We have been in Napa since 2007.
Do you love it there?
I love it there. I was not ready to move to a bucolic,
Yeah.
quiet
It is a
agriculture
sleepy. It's
town.
sleepy, right? A little
Yeah, I mean,
sleepy.
I lived here. I
Yeah.
lived in Santa Monica. I lived in Hollywood
Oh.
before that, Santa Barbara before that.
Yeah,
I was.
and that's funny because you were probably living in Santa Monica when I met you. Um, Jeff you brought in the wine for Matthew Baton, right? Is that who?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
So,
so that's a
yeah.
Chris Pierce connection. So
Oh, that's
Matthew and
how I know
Chris
Chris.
are
Okay, that's
brothers,
how I
and
know
so
Chris.
by
That
nature,
through
then I
Matthew.
am
That's
Matthew's
how.
brother now
Yeah,
too.
exactly. So I
Yeah,
remember you came in and you got us this really great wine. I really do like that wine. It was butter and jam, right?
yeah, yeah,
I mean, it's like they're not expensive, but they're still tasty.
yeah.
I don't mind those wines. And so you got us a bunch of wine. And then I remember seeing you and thinking, oh, this guy looks familiar, but he hasn't said anything. So maybe he just reminds me of someone. I didn't really think of
Yeah.
anything. And then it took years after kind of talking
I don't even remember how it
you're
came
like,
up,
I
but
know you. No, you were like, we know each other from before because you used
yeah,
to be at Southern Wine, right?
yeah,
So and
yeah,
I used to order wine from you at and sushi
yes,
because that's how I started my art career because I was working at K Jazz. I was doing radio at K
oh,
Jazz. I don't know if you
okay,
knew that. That's why this all
no,
seems supernatural to me. So I was
okay,
working at K Jazz. I was a radio announcer there. My boss, he was so cool, Lawrence Tanner. He still announces the
name's
Lakers,
familiar.
the
Yeah,
Laker girl,
yeah, yeah.
Laker girls and all the show. That's him.
What a
Yeah,
gig. Yeah,
he has a great gig. And so I was doing that in the day, and then I was working at N Sushi at night. And then they weren't doing any business, so the owners were like, "What can we do to have
oh,
people come in here?" And I'm like, "Well, I could start doing art shows because I know all my friends are artists." And then we got so busy at the restaurant doing these art shows. That's how it all started, and all these amazing artists were coming to me saying, "You're selling more art than my gallery is. Would you want to represent me?" So I kind of just
wow,
started doing it that way. But I do
no
remember
kidding.
that we used to have wine tastings there. I
Yeah.
used to buy wine from you.
Well, and I was
Yeah.
like Moonlight because I left Southern. I went to work for Robert Mondavi, who I've
Yeah.
worked with them forever and ever. And I
Yeah.
was just with members of the Mondavi
Hmm.
family the other day. Did a portrait job for
Yeah.
Michael Mondavi, which was awesome.
I bet.
Oh my God. I mean, so much character. But I went to work for Mondavi, and you're kind of not supposed to moonlight by working in a bar or
Yeah.
restaurant because they think you're
Right.
going to pour all your own stuff.
Yeah.
And I was so new to that and so out of Southern. And I came in, I was like, man, I just need to supplement my income, and
Right.
I can bartend for a couple of nights. And you're like, okay,
Oh,
you're
that's
like
so. Do
you're
you?
good looking enough or something. And I was like, enough? I don't.
You're good looking enough.
Yeah,
Do you remember the
if I had
guy
a
that
nickel for
Boris
every
that used
time.
to bartend
Yeah,
at
yeah,
Boris?
yeah. Oh my
That's so
God,
funny. You know
Jesus.
what? Oh wait, you worked there. I thought I bought wine from
But you
you.
did
And
both.
you worked there. That's
Yeah,
right. Harley, a couple nights a week. Yeah,
yeah.
Boris resurfaced out of the blue. He ended up becoming a paparazzi photographer.
No
Yeah,
way.
and did very very well for many years. And then things kind of, now
Mm,
everybody hates the paparazzi in
yeah,
California. So No, but he was like, he's like, Paris, I can't do this anymore. I just got told off by George Clooney. George Clooney just
Oh,
told me he hopes I die. He's like, I can't do, like,
wow.
they get pissed at the paparazzi. He's like,
Yeah.
you can't imagine what I hear from these celebrities. It's abusive and I don't want to do it anymore. I'll die if I keep doing this. Yeah, but he still works for some
Wow.
photo companies like that, but I don't think the money's as good. That's funny, new
That's
Boris.
crazy. I mean, you're like,
Hmm.
this is a deep fold in my brain that we're
Yeah.
diving into. But we were at the Leica gallery and like we were like talking or something, and
Yeah.
I was like, I know where I know you from. How do
Yeah.
I like? Not everybody named Paris Chong in the
Yeah.
world, so it's
Yeah.
like,
There's
and
just two of
obviously
us
we
that I
have
know.
there's two.
Yeah, Tommy Chong's son's name is Paris Chong. You
Oh,
know Cheech and Chong?
yeah.
Tommy's son's name is Paris Chong, and he lives in California. Actually,
Oh my
a
God.
lady I work out with lives in his building. She's like, I met another person named Paris Chong. He lives in my building. I'm like, is it Cheech and Chong's son? And she's like, yeah. So yeah, there's two of us in
So I was going to
California.
ask you this,
Yeah,
like not
yeah.
on camera, but I was on the phone with my friend from high school yesterday, who's very good
Just go
friends
sit down.
with Ray Don Chong,
Oh
who's
yeah,
Tommy's daughter.
I met
And
her.
yeah, and I've met her as well.
Yeah.
And I went to grade school with a kid named Kevin Morley, another deep crack, whose mom was related to Tommy Chong, either his sister or
Oh,
something.
how
So it's like
wild.
I
Yeah, I
got
know
I
the
got
whole
Chongs in
family.
the,
I do. I know Shelby and Tommy from and Paris, and Ray Don Chong came to Julian Lennon's show. They're friends.
yeah,
And I said, everyone thinks I'm in your family. She goes, I could see that, but
yeah.
do you know how many people still think I am not Tommy Chong's daughter? People are constantly like, yeah, I have this new bong, and I was wondering if I could send this to your dad. And I'm like, my dad wouldn't want to see this bong,
Right.
and he's not here anymore. So I think you think my dad's Tommy Chong. My dad's not
You're so
Tommy Chong.
honest. I'd be like, yeah, hand
Yeah,
it
no,
over.
I'm like,
Yeah.
why don't I just go for it? And I do look like the sisters. And I also know Robbie Chong, and she was
Yeah.
married to a really amazing painter at one point, I think. And yeah, I know the whole family. They're awesome. They're good
So
people.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I heard Cheech Marin is his name, right?
Yeah.
He has a museum in Bakersfield or something,
What?
somewhere like
This is getting weird.
Lancaster. Yeah, he
Really?
has Mexican artists at this
Okay.
museum
Okay.
somewhere in California, and I just heard this for the first time recently, so that's kind of funny. That's right, you bartended. Oh my God, that was such a funny job.
It's a cool
It
place.
was cool, and you
Yeah.
know what? I put that damn place on the map. They're still there. You know, they almost went out of business,
Did they?
but the art shows really helped save that place because it was almost going out. No one was coming in there. That's why they were like, "What are you going to do to bring people in here?" That is the smallest glass for the
It's
biggest
tiny. It's
man.
the tiny. I
I'm
mean, I
sorry. I
feel
should have
like
brought you a Paris Chong mug. Now I feel
that's all right.
guilty
That's all
because
right.
this is plenty of
I
water
mean, I
for me.
do love the idea of the mug and it's a talk show kind of
I
mug and
should have
what's
brought.
in
We
it.
had an extra one. I don't know
Yeah,
what I was thinking. We just give you this little
it's all
teeny
right.
glass. You're probably still thirsty.
If you know what? I'm savoring the last little bit. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah,
Well, I can't tell you how
yeah,
good it is to see you, and I'm glad that we remembered how we knew each
yeah.
other. So now you're going on the road with Pearl Jam, and
Yes.
do you ever, or do they ever use your services for wine also, or is that totally separate?
Yeah, totally separate. I mean, I have over the years, I have sent stuff
Yeah,
to
as
to
gifts.
we just like, here, try this, or
Yeah.
if you need something for charity auction, or thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank
Oh, you're the
you.
best. Thank you.
There's my son, my handsome son, just
Thank you.
bringing in
Thank you.
things. Oh, you're hired.
Yeah, exactly. I have for, just kind of things like that. I don't provide them with wine. Although, if
I'm
any of
so
them are
glad the ten
listening,
thousand dollar
oh,
table's gone because we used to have this really expensive table. I was like, don't put anything on that
oh my
table. Don't even
God.
look at it.
Don't even look at
Okay,
it.
there we go. Yeah.
Yeah,
I want some more
if any of
wine.
those guys are listening and they
Yeah.
want someone to do a wine for them,
Yeah. Do you guys
I'm
want him
all
to do
in.
some wine? Yeah. No.
Yeah,
Do the Pearl Jam guys drink wine?
I mean, I know Ed does.
Because a lot of
Yeah.
people stop drinking, all the
Hmm.
in the bands and different.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's I don't know currently. I can't say, but I believe Ed's still drinking wine because I
Yeah,
saw
good
him
for
drink
him.
wine. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
exactly.
but I love wine. I think we both love wine, and we
Yeah.
both love photography, and we both love art. So,
Yep.
now when you were coming out here, you came out here we had a meeting. You were going to come to the gallery, and then I said, well, it's President's Day, so I'm going to be working at the
Right.
working at home or whatever. And then it worked out that we could get into the studio today. So I'm really glad that you came in here. And I thought,
So
okay,
good.
why I'm going to kill two birds with one stone and put you on the podcast and then talk about your photography because you wanted to come here to show me your photography. Did
Yeah,
you bring anything with you?
I did. Yeah, I mean, I have my laptop, so
Well, that's gonna be, you
that's
know,
gonna be tough
what we're
to do
gonna do
here.
is you're gonna send us some
Yeah,
images and then we're gonna pop it up in between your
yeah,
show, so
perfect.
that'll be good. But I still wanted to see some stuff, but we still have time.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
what? So you're going out with Pearl Jam? Do you have? Are you going to be selling these prints on your website, or do you have like permission to
Yeah,
do
I
that with the band?
do. I can do fine art prints. This is
Mm-hmm.
kind of my arrangement, and I haven't started that
Mm-hmm.
yet. Mainly because when a band uses your photos, there's holdback periods and things like
Yeah.
that. So, but it's all leading me to the place which I'm the most excited about. I think even more than selling fine art prints, which is doing a book,
Oh, great.
and that came from management and from the band. Said, "Hey,
Oh, that's going to be a
would you
good.
want to do a book?" I'm like,
You're like no
would I want to?
brainer.
I mean, I
Yeah.
almost fell over again for the third time,
Yeah. And
so
have you done any books?
I've never done a book, so this is kind of new to me. And I'm a Leica person by
Mm-hmm.
choice. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's took me years and years to get to
I
that
think
place.
everyone would be a Leica
Oh
person
my
by
God.
choice if it wasn't
It
for
just, I
the
know.
cost. I know they're not the cheapest cameras in the world, but they are the best made
They're the
quality
best.
cameras. They're like magic
It's
cameras.
I know. And
They
I
really are.
I, I credit the late great Jim Marshall,
I love.
who
I wish I would have met him. I
me
heard
too.
from his. I've heard from Amelia. We would have got along great. But I work a lot with his estate. I
Yeah.
still sell a lot of Jim Marshall prints, and he sounded like such a character.
Oh
And
my
his
God.
work's incredible. And I've been really lucky to be able to sell Neil Preston and Jim Marshall at
Yeah.
Leica. So I kind
Yeah.
of feel like I have a lot of
Legends.
good stuff. Yeah, you know what? They are legends, and I'm trying not to make it too much like a rock and roll gallery, but it does seem that our customers, for whatever reason, gravitate towards the music
Yeah.
photography.
Yeah, well, I would be crazy remiss if I didn't say Danny Clinch, because
Oh, I
Danny
love you. We did a
Danny
show with him too.
yeah,
Yeah, he's amazing.
he's a great friend, and I mean, probably honestly my biggest inspiration in doing
Oh, that's
this.
good to know.
I met him about probably 12 or 13 years ago, and I had never seen a photo of Danny, so
He's good.
he's unbelievable, and he had the best advice for me going out on
Hmm.
this tour. We talked about it, and he was excited for me. He said, "Geoff, just be artful. Remember who you're doing this for. These guys are visual, and they're going to appreciate being artful." And I said, "I'm going to do my very best to do that." And he said, it's historic. You get to
Yeah,
capture
yeah.
a historic moment for this band."
Has he
And
worked with him?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Are they
He's
easy to
done
work
lots.
with?
They're great. I
Yeah,
mean, it's like they always say, don't meet your heroes, because you might be disappointed. And these guys are all great. And they just are good people. They're grounded, positive. The whole camp too. And it's like the crew. I mean, I'm part of the crew.
yeah.
And for me I mean, that's a badge of honor for me because these people don't leave. There's a lot of crew people who've been with the band from day
That's
one,
cool.
and they just are all there to put on the best show they can, from Eddie and the guys to a guy pushing boxes and catering and the chefs and like all these people.
So
It's
when you're
crazy.
on the road with them and you're supposed to be taking all their photography, all their photos, do they expect you to do stuff behind the scenes, just sitting on the bus, or do only
I
stuff on
mean,
stage, or do you do anything behind the scenes, or is it mainly you're there during the
I've
concert?
done some behind the scenes stuff. It's not this is really like for the these are more photos for the fans,
Yeah.
and people. I mean, I've been to actually Nashville. I think this coming first show in Nashville, it'll be in May 6th, I think it is, will be my 150th Pearl Jam show.
Jeez,
And
that's a
at that
lot.
point I probably will have shot better than a third of those, maybe half of those. So it's like, and I don't know how many shows they have. I should know,
Starting from what year to now?
but 91,
Wow.
yeah, to now. So I mean, it's been basically a part-time job going to shows. And now I get paid to go to shows, which is like,
Yeah.
again, like it's just
Getting
bizarre, but
paid to do things is
it's
nice, isn't it?
so
You
great
have to pay
when
your dues and do a lot of things for
you
free, though.
do.
I know.
Yeah, you do. That's
You
right.
do.
But these guys have never asked me to do anything for free, and they've
Yeah.
always been, like I said, I mean, just everybody there. I mean, management, the marketing people, the PR team, the band, obviously, the crew, everybody is just awesome.
Yeah.
And I couldn't say that if that weren't the truth. You
Yeah,
know what I
because there
mean?
are
Like
some,
it's
you hear this horror stories of some of these other bands that are just horrible, or the singers are divas and mean spirited and
yeah.
stuff. So it's nice. You're lucky
Oh
you
my
get to
God.
work with nice people. I mean, I can't stand that just changes everything to work with someone who's just a
Mm-hmm.
difficult person or
Mm-hmm.
just not, a nice person or, it
I've
just makes
turned
every
down some big shows because I have heard directly from tour
Mhm.
managers like, I don't know if I
Oh,
want to do this.
I've passed on certain things because 'cause I've heard just horror stories about people. Because I mean, it's like sometimes you can't if it's like, higher ups are saying you have to do stuff, but there's been times when I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm not gonna open this can of worms." Like,
Right.
thank you, because work's supposed to be fun and enjoyable, and
Right.
it's supposed to make you happy. It's not supposed I just don't like to do anything that makes me stressed out. Hence the wine,
I know. I
the
know.
wine calms
Wine
everything down.
helps everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, I love wine. So, now you was talking about working for Mondavi.
Hmm.
I met a guy, oh god, I'm blanking on his name. He was a nice man. He lives up in Napa, and he was the photographer, his main job, and he wanted to do fine art so badly,
Mm.
but his main gig was shooting all the Gallo
Oh,
stuff. Do you
really?
know this guy? Gallo? And that's one of the
Yeah.
it's like not a high-end wine, but
Well, I mean, they have high-end
I mean,
stuff now,
but it
but
was, he did that for years. That he would just go and shoot all the wine, shoot the vineyards, shoot all the photographs that had to do with that wine. He did them all, and he was saying, it put my girls through college, but it wasn't fulfilling for me to do. But it was how I made money. But I'm like, but you're still lucky that you get paid to be doing what you love, because even if I always tell people, yet not everyone's going to be like, at the Getty Museum, but you have
right.
to start somewhere and you have to do, as long as you're doing something with the camera in your hand, you're working and you're getting paid, you are a photographer. Even if someone's paying you to do a wedding, that's a photography job.
Oh,
Like
I
some
know.
people hate doing it, but it keeps you in your craft and it keeps you in your game and it keeps you getting good with the camera.
Yeah.
So you can't poo poo anything, but
Yep.
so because it's not easy for every single person in the world to be a Maplethorpe. It's not going to happen for a lot of people. But
Right.
as long as you're doing something and it's art and you're producing, that's working. And I respect that and appreciate that.
Yeah.
I just tell people you're still doing your photography, so don't complain.
I mean, it's still kind of the same.
Yeah.
You're using the same tools. I always
Yeah.
say that, in fact, I just had this conversation with Rob Mondavi the other
Mhm.
day because he was laughing and walked up to me and he said, his son RM is 14 years old. And he goes, my son, thought that you were a wedding photographer. And I'm like, I said, I don't want to say anything derogatory about wedding photographers.
Yeah.
Some of them are amazing, right?
Yeah.
But I will never shoot anyone's wedding.
Yeah.
And I said, I won't even shoot your wedding, RM. And
Yeah.
he goes, when I found out that you shoot rock stars, like you became,
Yeah.
now he's interested in getting to know me.
Yeah.
Before that he was like, is a wedding photographer? And I'm like, man,
I
some of
know.
those guys are so artful. It's like
Yeah,
that's a whole
no,
thing.
it's
But
a whole nother thing. Yeah, but it's just it's keeping people in their craft. But I was just thinking about that because we were talking about wineries. So now, which wineries are you at now?
so I do a bit of quote unquote consulting, and I say
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote because anytime I ever had a corporate job, I thought the consultants just was another way of saying unemployed. But I know how to fix things with distributors, having worked for
Yeah.
Southern for a long time and having worked with big wineries for a long time. So I work on a couple of labels now. Have a label called Lloyd Cellars,
Mm-hmm.
which is Napa based. It's Chardonnay and Pinot, and then we have another label under Lloyd called Prescription, and then Chris Pierce, who we talked about, and I had a label called Ledbetter, which is
Okay.
kind of a throw over to the Pearl Jam guys. They've had Ledbetter wine. There's a
Yeah,
song, Yellow Ledbetter, probably my
that's
favorite
cool.
song.
So you're
But
making the wine? Is
I
that you?
make the wine on Ledbetter, yeah. Yeah, and
Oh,
we've done that. This would be our 20th year, and we did take a few years off, but it's the 20th year of the business. We took a few years off mainly because of COVID. It was just
yeah.
impossible to get anything
Well,
done.
that
So
really stopped a lot of things, didn't it?
unreal.
And even we were talking about how the restaurants are struggling now in Los Angeles. We have so many. beautiful, I mean, famous restaurants that have been there
Yeah,
for many, many years. They're just gone. One day, I mean, it's happened to me at least like 6 times in the last couple of years where I want to go somewhere and I drive up and it's gone.
and it's gone.
And it's the weirdest things that have been there forever.
I know.
It's just really, really sad. I hope that changes real soon.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it stops,
Yeah, I
before we lose
know, but I
more good
think it's
ones.
I don't think it's like that anywhere else. I think that's LA. Maybe it's because we got hit twice now with COVID and the fires, so
Yeah,
maybe it's just too hard. But then, then there's those restaurants that just can't stop doing, selling, and they're
oh
always
my
going to be
gosh.
doing great, right? Like
I was at
Spago. There's nothing's going to kill
yeah.
that place
No, it's
ever.
just got this
It just
following
keeps
and
going
name, and
strong. Yeah.
I was at, shout out to Taylor's Steakhouse downtown
Okay.
LA. That place I think has been going since the early 50s.
Oh my god, I haven't been there in a
It's
long time.
oh my
That's where you
god.
were? That's the old school place?
Yeah,
Oh god, it's dark. I just
it's
went
awesome.
I actually recently went there. I like that place.
I think it's my favorite restaurant in LA. It's legendary.
I have to take my son there. We're due for a good steak, but I went and had Korean barbecue the other night.
Mhm.
Man, that was one of the best steaks I've ever had. There was a restaurant on Western, and I don't want to say it wrong, but it was it
Yeah,
was so good.
it's safe.
I love Korean
Yeah.
barbecue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, but
Yeah.
well, so I think it's interesting because everybody's kind of doing more than one thing. Like even when my
Yeah.
guest before you, he's like a skateboarder, painter, actor, doing so many things. I think everyone's doing a few things now because the
Yep.
world's changed so much that we do all have to have some kind of supplementary stuff coming in.
Yeah.
Like I'm a gallery director and I'm doing the podcast, and I also do different. I do a couple of different things,
Yeah.
but I do think that everyone's gonna have to be doing more like that because of the way things are.
I mean, I remember seeing something that said, kinda gig work is gonna be the new career,
Gig work?
moving for yeah, like being a photographer is
Yeah,
gig work, doing
yeah.
all this stuff. I mean, I'm an actor. I've been an actor since
Why didn't I know that?
92 or something. Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. Well, of
Yeah.
course, you
I
live
mean,
LA.
yeah, well, that's
Well,
why
you
I
were a
came here.
bartender. Every bartender in LA is
Exactly.
an actor.
That's right. Yes, exactly right. And I was never in anything that, never in anything that you would go, "Oh, that was Jeff,"
Yeah.
but I've been in a lot of things and some big things.
I give
Um,
I actually wanted to sing out here, but
oh,
I and then I wanted to do radio, so I did end up doing radio, but I think it's kind of funny people move to LA to do all these different things, and really we all end up working in the restaurant
I know.
business,
I know. We gotta
But there's
survive.
something
Yeah.
really cool about the restaurant business. I was a maitre d' at Chaya Venice. That's where I met Robert Berman. How I really
No
started
way.
getting into the art gallery world. Yes,
Oh my
I was
god.
a maitre d' there back in the day when it was the funnest, hottest, hippest place on earth.
Yeah.
There used to be this great restaurant, the Chaya's. There was one in close to like a
Yeah.
Chaya brasserie that was
I
there for
remember
many,
it.
many years,
Yeah.
and then Chaya Venice, which was so much fun.
Mm.
And I was a maitre d', and I got to meet everybody there. It was like
Oh
the
yeah.
funnest job, still to this day, probably one of the funnest jobs I had. It was just
Yeah.
so easy and fun, and the money was great, and they feed you, and it's social, and the night
Yeah.
goes by quick. It was fun to work in the restaurant business,
Oh, I
but
loved it.
now it's tough because there's no one in the restaurants. But
Right.
and I was walking my dog just this past weekend, and where Chaya Venice was, it was now a new place called Forma, and that was gone. And
Really?
it was just there, like I want to say a month ago,
Oh
Rose
no.
Cafe,
Yeah.
gone.
No.
Yes.
Oh man.
I walk my dog every Sunday, and that's where I stop to tinkle. And I'm like, wait,
I haven't been
it's
to the West
gone.
Side yet, and
So many things are
uh,
gone. It's just so sad.
I know.
But
LA
hopefully,
will survive
I
though.
know it will. Of course it will. But
Yeah.
it's going through a little flux right now. I mean, don't. But
Yeah.
do you miss it here?
I miss it terribly. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, I loved living here,
LA's awesome.
and I know, and yeah, I know millions of people do raise kids in LA, and I just was always like, oh, if we're gonna have kids,
Yeah, it's not the
we should be
easiest.
somewhere quiet.
Yeah,
We
and
should be
boring.
somewhere,
Napa.
yeah, yeah. And we have an older boy who's got a million medical and health problems,
Oh,
and
I'm
then we have my
sorry.
younger son who
How
doesn't.
how old is your son?
So Griffin is 14.
Uh-huh.
And he suffers from a very rare genetic disorder called SCN2A, and
Oh
it's
gosh.
genetic epilepsy,
Oh,
basically,
I'm
and
so
it's
sorry to
just
hear
a
that.
devastating. Thank you. I sit on the board of that foundation, and we're trying as hard as we can to get some more research and more funding and things.
Let's do a
Rare diseases
fundraiser
are
in
tough.
Napa.
Yeah, we're doing one. I don't
Let
have a
me see
date
how I
yet,
can
but
help you.
I will enlist. I will
Yeah.
ask and enlist you.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then my younger son Jack, who's 7, and he's a mini me. I mean, they both are
Oh,
kind of mini me's, but
that's cool.
he's
You have
very
cute
upset
boys.
that I'm out of town right now. Dad, what are you doing?
Oh, I know
So
my son doesn't he's 21 now, but he won't admit it, but he doesn't like it when I leave town.
yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I was in the Paris terrorist attacks when he was 10, so
Oh
he
my
has
God,
PTSD still from that,
were you
because people
really?
were calling him up like, "Is your mom okay?" So I think
Mm,
he's still freaked out from that. But I have to travel a lot for work. I
yeah,
don't like, how it is when you have a family. It's hard leaving your family, no
it's the
matter well,
worst.
even if you're going somewhere fabulous. Every time I see when I go up on in the plane and I could look down and see his school, I just lose my mind. I
Oh,
know my dog's down there. It just tears my.
it's
It's
supposed
hard.
to, right?
I
It's
know.
supposed to.
I guess so because it's traumatizing for
Oh, it
me.
crushes me.
Yeah,
He
isn't it
he
awful?
thank God for FaceTime though. I have to say, like
Yeah, yeah,
Jack FaceTimed me last night right when I got into the rental car, and he wants to talk while I'm trying to navigate getting on the
yeah.
405, But so I'm just talking to him, and then this morning, boy, just as soon as my eyes open, he's like, "Dad, are you there? I can,"
Oh,
and he wants to
but this is
talk
a
to
quick
me, and
trip, right?
yeah, this is just a couple days, and then I'm back, and then I'm up in Seattle for some stuff,
Hmm.
and then Chicago on a little mini tour with Chris Pierce, so that'll be
That's
fun.
great. Oh, I
Yeah.
love Chris. I'm glad you reminded me how I know him. It's from
Yeah,
Matthew.
yeah,
So you're doing so mainly you're doing the Pearl Jam stuff right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
And then how often are you working in Napa? Like, is it balance? Are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, I'm Pearl Jam when the shows are on, I'm working
Yeah.
and I'm gone, and I'm fortunate enough that I can do some of my distribution phone calls or
Mm-hmm.
anything I need to do. I can kind of do from wherever.
Mm-hmm. Do you
But
travel with the band?
I travel with the crew,
Okay.
which is is fine with
Yeah.
me. It's like
Do they
what I
have
don't
their
want
Do
anyone
they
to do
have
is
their
get
own
sick of me,
plane?
right? Good question. I believe they fly private around the U.S. I don't
Yeah.
know if they own the plane.
Mm-hmm.
I never ask, some of these things, like, I don't go there because
Okay.
it's like running, I could go in the dressing rooms, but why? I'm going to let these guys have their space too. And I
Yeah.
know a lot of people like to see backstage photos. I
They do
think that,
actually, because some
yeah,
of the things we sell from Neil's are all these like
yeah,
really off, like the guys probably didn't even know he was taking them.
right,
They're just
right.
really candid, weird kind of cool shots.
Yeah,
No one's posing.
I think that's cool stuff. I try to enforce a line at least with
Hmm.
myself, and I know that's not, some of the best photography comes from trespassing, and I just don't want to wear out my welcome.
Yeah,
And I mean, we're all a certain age. I mean, we're not
yeah,
20 something
yeah.
and we're back there partying, having fun. I mean, it's like you're back there probably getting yourself ready. I
Hmm.
mean, the amount of energy that each one of those guys puts out every night, it's
It's
like,
a lot.
I don't need to cross any
I know.
lines,
I don't know how it's like that's so hard to do after so many years. It's like
Yeah.
everyone thinks it's so much fun, but they're probably just exhausted.
I'm
But
exhausted
yeah,
at the
I'm
end of it,
exhausted thinking about it.
and I'm running around down in front, or out in the GA pit
Hmm.
and up on stage, and I'm running around chasing them,
Yeah,
and I'm exhausted.
yeah,
It's
it is.
amazing.
Even just like when I do my art shows, I love them. They're fun and stuff, but they take a lot out of you. Like
Yeah.
having to be on for 3 hours, talking straight for three
Yes.
hours. It's a lot.
Yes.
Sometimes I just want to like run and hide in my closet.
Yes.
Run and
Yeah.
hide in the closet. I'm like, I can't
That's
say
how I
another
feel when I
word,
come back from a
but I
wine
want,
trip. I'm
yeah.
like, I
Oh
just don't wanna
gosh.
talk to anybody,
Yeah.
and I
Because
just
you're
wanna
on, although you're
yeah.
on. So, and how's the wine business?
The wine business is having a tough time,
Is
much
it?
like LA is having a tough time.
Yeah.
And so, related here, obviously, but everywhere else, it's like this movement. I call it like neo-prohibitionism, and it's kind of like what I say is that the young folks who are not drinking, are making the healthy choice,
Yeah.
um, they just don't have any problems yet, or
Yeah.
spouses or kids.
No.
Like I
Yeah,
think
they
they
don't.
will drink eventually,
Yeah, no,
but
it seems like they don't. The new generation, the kids, they don't drink, but they smoke pot
yeah, I know, right? I
and they
mean, well,
do
this is
like
the
weird,
thing.
other weird things, other
Yeah,
weird, worse things.
mushrooms
Yeah,
and
everyone's like microdosing or whatever.
yep,
But,
yep,
uh, I heard it was booming during COVID though, right?
booming.
Booming. I heard they sold more. They were running out of champagne or
It was
something.
unbelievable. Well, people were literally drinking like it was the end of days because
Oh
it kind
God,
of felt like it
it
was,
was.
didn't it? I mean, and I know we were around my house. I don't need,
I know it did.
CPS to get
Yeah.
involved, but we were, I was drinking a lot of tequila at my
Hmm.
house, and because I couldn't go anywhere, and
It
it
was
was
boring.
stressful, and it was
It
boring, and it
was
was
so
all these
boring.
things. And the retail environment, the stores that were open, the big grocery stores and Total and Bevmo and all those guys,
Mhm.
they did really well during COVID because people were able to order and have it show up at their
And
house.
you were able to get drinks to go and drink it walking down the
Yeah.
street.
Oh my God.
We
When I got
remember
a
you
drink
did
to
get
go in New York,
arrested for that
yeah,
before. Now they were like, "Here's a margarita to go." We're like, "Really? I can do this?" Like, "Yeah, take it to go."
I just, I'm okay with that being like the surge. And
Yeah.
then like we kind of got back to normal in like 2023, I think was kind of
Mhm.
the last good year.
Yeah.
2024 was just a bizarre year. We saw all this downturn. And then what you see is like it not coming back. Now, I've been through a few of these things in the wine business. I've been in the
Yeah.
wine business since 97. And so, 9/11 was one of the big ones. And then 2008 when the bottom fell out. And, there's been a few of these things, but they never felt as bleak as this one does. And I think it's because, it doesn't help when the Surgeon General says no amount of alcohol is healthy.
Yeah, that's a new thing,
Yeah.
right?
Well, let me explain something to the listener. Um, the book ends one way or the other,
Yeah.
right? The
Yeah.
movie's going to end. My challenge to you is, do you want to enjoy any of it? I'm not saying you have to be loaded to enjoy
Yeah.
it, but like, my gosh, what's wrong with having a celebratory glass of champagne?
Yeah.
Or on a hot day, having a gin and tonic or,
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, for me, tequila, I can tell you if I have a glass of tequila on the rocks and I'm wiped out, I immediately feel better.
Right.
And it's kind to me. It doesn't hurt
Yeah,
me,
that was I saw that recently, so that's like a new thing. That's relatively new that they're saying
That
that.
was on the way out, and that to me was a political statement. I won't get political, but
Yeah.
it was a political statement. I mean, you can't.
And
Where's the
there's
data?
yeah, I think that it's been so bad lately that that just added to the all more bad information. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
it was so bad. This January was like a nightmare
bizarre.
here. Yeah, I mean the elections,
Yep,
then the um fires, and
yep,
there was that horrible plane crash. Like it needs, and I think we need to get like on an upswing somewhere, but
yeah.
I don't know what it's gonna take.
I think if we all keep the vibrations high,
Hmm.
if we cut it, I mean, there is some good in the world. I look at my
Yeah,
kids
I'm
and I
praying a
see
lot.
good. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm praying and hoping. I mean, I don't know. It's. I think this is the way things go, though, and it's
Mm.
also like we're all of a certain age too, where it's like,
I
and
don't know,
here's
I
the
don't
bad news.
yeah, no, but it's been
It's
extra weird.
it has been extra weird.
I mean,
It
to
has.
go through what we went through here in LA to see I mean, I went for yesterday was the first day when I walked on the beach that I could see clearly the mountains
Oh wow.
when I was on walking in Santa Monica Beach, and I didn't it was the first time I saw how many houses were gone.
Yeah.
It was so sad.
I
I
haven't
mean,
been
there was
out
like
there
a
yet.
whole area where there was just tons of houses,
Oh
and
my
there was
God.
like I think one still stand. I mean, it was bad. And then seeing
Jesus.
all the mountains scorched, I just hope it comes back sooner than later because that part of California is just so gorgeous, and
Oh my
Malibu.
gosh. I know.
I mean, there's
Just
so much. And Moon Shadows is gone.
I know. I mean that.
And the Real Inn,
Oh,
one of my favorites.
come
I
on.
loved the Real Inn.
Well, that's just not fair.
I know, and that, and I know that. Didn't you love the Real Inn? I
I
know.
loved it.
I love to go hiking
Oh.
and then go to the Real Inn and have some fish and a beer. My God.
Well, it's like you know that you were like you've done something right,
Yeah,
right? If
when
you
you
could
end
get
up
up
at
and
the
you're
Real
in
Inn.
Malibu and you right, I know. I mean,
No,
it
I don't know
seems
what it is.
crazy
Every
to
time I
say.
ate at the Real Inn, I felt like I was on vacation, and
Yeah.
like it was like such a happy place, and the food
Well,
was so good, and
I'm gonna drive up there, I think tomorrow before I have
that
to
you
head
can't
down the
get up
coast.
there.
At least to the west side, so I
Well,
can
I
at
don't,
least see.
we couldn't even walk past like they cut off even the bike path. Like you
No
can't even
kidding.
walk through there unless you're a resident.
Oh yeah, because they don't want anyone
Yeah.
caught up looting.
Yeah, so do you see yourself staying in the, Bay Area for
I don't
forever?
know. We've been talking about it a lot. I mean, right
Yeah,
now, obviously, not to sound like off my lawn, old guy, but like mortgage rates are crazy, so I'm not going to be buying anything anytime soon. Although it's a
yeah,
good time to buy. Um, if we sold our house today, I'd be in a house just like it. If I stayed in Napa,
yeah,
right? Now,
yeah,
it's appreciated a ton, but I'd have to spend all that back. So for me, I mean, I've got property in Vermont.
yeah. Oh, no,
I've
I
got
heard
like,
it's gorgeous
oh
there.
my God, and it's like it's in what they call the Northeast Kingdom. So that's like the extreme. It's maybe 2 hours to Montreal. I mean, it's way up
Oh,
there.
wow.
But I've got a good chunk of land, like 30 acres up there, and I've got land in my hometown down in Cooperstown.
So you have
And I
options.
have options. And right before COVID, we were going to build kind of like a little ski house out there, and we got as far as having it cleared and had a road put in and had a solar thing put up,
Mhm.
and I got that far, and then you couldn't find anybody to do anything.
Oh my
And
god.
so it's kind of slow to come back in these more rural, communities. But just to have somewhere to bug out to would
Do
be
you think
great.
you'll still keep doing both things, like doing your wine business and then doing the
Yeah.
photography?
I mean, yes, I would
Yeah.
love to. I'd love to stay in the wine business again. It's like it's not gotten any easier.
Mhm.
But I do think the future for me is, build some little brands, work these brands, and then also have my own.
Yeah.
I always thought I would stay in the wine business where if I was making 300 cases of wine and literally going out and selling every case by myself,
Yeah.
that would not be bad. If it pencils, you don't want to do, I mean, it's like photography for me was a hobby forever.
Right.
And all of a sudden it's become a thing where I'm actually doing it. And it's almost like the more energy or the more mindful about that I am, the better I'm doing. And now I'm seeing a direct result,
Right.
where it's like I'm obviously getting to work with my favorite band and I
You're
get to
so
do this
lucky.
stuff.
You willed it. You willed
I
it.
think so. My wife says I
Yeah,
did.
no,
She's
I think you did. I got to meet my heroes, the B-52s,
yeah, all
and got a
right.
picture with them. I love the
Oh my
B-52s.
God.
I saw them
Oh,
on SNL. Did you see the SNL
yes.
special? That was
Yes.
amazing.
Oh my God.
That was so good.
I
I
had
loved
tears in
it.
my eyes today watching it. It's
I
going to sound
I
like an
loved
ad
it. I
for,
know I was screaming.
yeah.
My son was like, "Be quiet." I'm like, "This is my
Oh
football."
man. Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
like, "Leave me alone. This is
Oh
like
my
the
God.
football. This is like the Super Bowl for me.
W-
Stop."
w-
Because I also love
Yeah.
music so much.
Yeah, me too.
Jeff, I just want to thank you so much for coming in. And
Thank
if
you.
we want to look at your work, what do you have a website with your work?
Yeah, it's my name. It's Geoff Whitman
And it's
Photography.
Geoff.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah.
Geoff Whitman, like Walt Whitman,
Yeah.
photography.com. And you can also go to pearljam.com and go into the tour archive and you'll see all my photos there. So
Wonderful. And pretty soon we'll be able to buy your book.
yeah, I can't wait for
Yeah,
that.
that's
It's so
incredible. You
exciting.
need a book.
I need a book. I feel like I
Yeah,
do. Yeah.
you
It's
do.
just my first book. Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
no,
Yeah.
but that's good. You have to have a first book.
Everyone has
Yeah,
to,
and
right?
then
Yeah.
I would love to help out if you do any kind of charity work for your son up in Napa.
Thank you.
I did a pop up at Faust House not that long ago. Remember I invited
Yeah,
you? You couldn't come that night because you had another
I
event.
couldn't come that night, but I ran
But it
by
was
and said hi. Or
great with
yeah.
Dominique Cran
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Jim Marshall
And
Estate.
Amelia was there. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
know
was really,
Amelia
really,
well.
really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and they have what Quintessa and Flowers Vineyards
I
also.
believe that's
Yeah. So
correct.
they were like, oh, that's glass. That's not good. Anytime you want to come back,
Yeah.
let us know. So they were super cool. And I know a lot of the vineyards have spaces to do art shows.
Yeah.
So I would love to, I like to help out how I can with things like that, you know?
Great. Yeah,
Yeah.
great. I look forward to chatting more about it.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who listens and subscribes to the Paris Chong Show. And we'll see you the next time. Thank you.